Alright, we are back for another night of live streaming, and I've already got a chatter. Yellow Popcorn says, why oh why? How's it going? Continuing on with the theme of the last 17 consecutive previous live streams. I'm kind of in between projects, and I've been inviting super chats if you want to vote on what kind of content you want to see next. Other than that, I'm going to continue with where I left off last night, working on the block mining simulation game. So last night, I had an annoying bug. The root cause of the bug last night was I was trying to send a message from one thread to another and then block on the response, but I didn't realize that it was actually calling that method from a different thread, so that the net result was the thread was trying to block on itself, which would cause a deadlock. So that's why that did not work. So I added a check for that last night, and then it's just a simple matter of passing a message to the other thread instead of doing directly calling into that data structure. So I just had to update my check here. I could probably even make this. Generic somehow. Maybe in that put blocking work item, I should check if I can make this a generic, just to generally make sure that it doesn't. A thread never puts a blocking work item on itself. Someone says, yo, JD123 says K. Arctic says, hello. IDK, what is going on? But I FW this. I guess I'm just kind of speaking in esoteric terms about the code I'm trying to write, giving an update from last night. I guess it's expected that it wouldn't mean much to anyone. I guess even if you program, it probably wouldn't mean much to anyone, unless you are also well versed with the way I had written a piece of this code, and if you would watch the fairly boring 2-hour long period I spent trying to debug the deadlock last night. But I guess I'll still open IntelliJ because it's so slow. Get a head start on that. Shenanigans says, I loved your 37-year-old videos. Your way of speaking is very calm and intelligent. I would love more of those videos. You're a kind person. Thank you for being you. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I'd like to make more videos like that. I guess I did get a lot of comments saying that it was like well said, but I guess the reason for that is because I scripted it all out first, and then I kind of took a long time to say it and edit it down really well. So making that video, if the video is good, that's probably because it took a long time to make. So right now I'm kind of in between projects. So I guess if you watch that video, you know my kind of the whole eviction thing going on. So actually, my next hearing is on May 26th. So that's why I'm live streaming right now, because I'm gonna just I don't want to commit to doing a long video and then get interrupted halfway through, because I may have to go back and forth with some people, and then I got some other random errands to run over the next couple of weeks. And then I guess so if worst comes to worst, if we lose at the hearing, then we will all have to leave. So then I'll have to figure out what to do then, but I don't know. We'll see. I think we've got a pretty good case against them, and I think he actually lost at some other buildings, so we'll see what happens. Hell yeah, brother. You seem like an awesome chill guy. Excellent. That's perfect for live streaming vibes. How are you, brother? What are you collecting donations for? That's a good question. I guess it's just kind of like a nonsense title to. Realistically, this is kind of just an experiment to see like how many views do I get, how many channel subscriptions do I get, what kind of like super chats do I get. So I've been taking this period to do something that's like low effort and non-committal, so I can just live stream every day for a while, and I'll see collect data from the algorithm about like how does it change my channel metrics and stuff. I'm also taking this time to do a little bit of work on shorts. So I finished up the evidence preparation for the next hearing. I did a little bit of filming today. So actually there's a couple scenes I maybe won't stream as long tonight, because I'll probably film a couple scenes tonight, because it has to be dark at the time. But you actually remind me of Jason Statham. He collected for world domination. Okay, you're not actually dominating the world. I am, but it's gonna be a long haul, so it's like a multi-stage process. So I mean, if you want to super chat me like a couple billion, that would give me a really good head start. But it's like I'll probably do this like, raising funds for world domination arc for a little while, and then I was kind of thinking about how do I end this series. I might actually reveal some of my plans for world domination at the end, and then we'll see what happens in. I guess we'll be into the start of June. Then I'll have more information on what's happening with the eviction hearing, and then maybe by that time I'll be able to start committing to another long form video. Were you able to solve the spacing bug you were trying to troubleshoot? Was it escape sequence issue? Spacing bug. I'm not sure. There's a few of those. One of them is from last night. There was one I solved that was in the help menu. I have an automatic thing that just takes anything in the keyboard input mapping and then it outputs it. But if it's a non-printable character, because I actually added a new interaction method for enter key, so it was trying to print a carriage return, and that was kind of messing up the screen. So I just changed it to be a special case, and then that fixed that. There's also a bug, an outstanding bug in the map area on the edge of it. It's not there's like a gap, and I'll fix that later when I come back to improve the map. You look like Jason Statham. Someone else just said that. I don't even know who that is. Jason Statham. Who is that? But the other main bug I solved last night was a deadlock issue where one thread was trying to send a message to itself. Fast and Furious actor. I'll have to look that up. Let's see what cases are going on. I'm not sure what by cases you mean, but how are you raising funds? I think I've raised. I've had non-zero revenue. I've raised greater than zero revenue every day from this. I think for the last few days it's been probably under 20 or $30 a day, which that's still it's a decent amount. It tops up my my ad revenue. My revenue from watch page ads is around like $30, and then to get it doubling that, it's I'm at basically at the break even point for YouTube revenue which I think is pretty good because this is summer, which is the worst time of year for ad revenue because everyone's got better things to do. What are some things that keep you motivated to pursue your goals? I've been trying myself to keep that momentum and create. Thank you again for your time, and good luck on your case. Yeah, I guess that's a good question. People ask that question often. I would say, in some ways, I actually might even have the opposite problem, where I have too much motivation to do too many things, and so I end up putting a lot of time into things that maybe don't really. I guess for if you compare maybe against the average person, there's a certain level of bar you need to reach a certain threshold to get someone to do something. So if the reward and payoff is very certain, then if you say if you walk over here, I will hand you this bar of gold, and that's a very, very clear, very high reward thing, so everyone will do it. And then there's other things where, if you go and you start this business and you do this and that, then you might get some success. Or if you go and, walk 100 miles here, you might find some treasure, or you might waste your time or something. So I guess my threshold to do something is a bit lower, which also means that I end up pursuing a lot of things for a very long time that don't necessarily pay off. So whether that's a good thing or not, I mean, I'm 38 years old and I'm definitely not rich. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not super clear if my approach is the best. It hasn't worked out so far, but I'm reaching for the stars. I'm going to keep going. So that's the only thing you can do. Do you play video games? I try not to play video games because I'll get addicted to them. How do you learn all these programming things? I have a degree in software engineering. I was a professor for a while, taught programming courses, and I've spent thousands and thousands of hours learning how to program and writing programs and all that kind of stuff. So it's the main thing that I've done with my life. You taking applications for new minions? I know there's some kind of movie called Minions. I don't know. I don't really know what that would imply. Minions as in for world domination. I might. I don't have any. I don't have any money to pay anyone yet. What are you doing? I'm right now. I'm getting distracted. I'm talking to chat, but once things slow down, then I'll get back to working on the writing code for the block mining simulation game, which let me go ahead and open that. It is a terminal-based game where you mine blocks. So I guess I can probably just run it. I feel programming is very boring. Yes, it is. I think it is quite boring to watch someone write computer programs, which is actually why I'm kind of surprised that there's as many people as there is who watch this live stream. I think some people do like it. I think if you're just curious about it, if you want to know what a programmer does, then it is kind of interesting to just go and see what someone is doing and how they do their thing, and compare the way you do it against how they do it, because maybe you can learn something. But honestly, I've actually learned a lot. It's been quite instructive for me because people in the chat will be like, "Why are you doing this thing?" And then I'll be like, "Huh, that's interesting. I never thought about doing anything otherwise." Do you use Linux? Yes, I do. I just use Ubuntu on any machine where I want to get work done. So yeah, this is the terminal-based block mining simulation game. You just wander around a universe of blocks, and you press the M key and you mine things. What do you use to draw in the terminal for this game? So all the graphics are characters, so they're emoji characters, and just like standard ASCII characters. So there's no real graphics or anything. And one implication of that is that in like the console, you can't actually get the emoji characters, so it just falls back to something simpler. Can you code a military-grade missile routing system in JavaScript, please? I have a video on that, so you can check that out. That's where it's a common request to build a missile guidance system. So I figured it'd be good to just put it in a tutorial video, so that way everyone can benefit from it. Yeah, it's I don't use any libraries from it. People have mentioned ncurses, and there may be some things that, like, to make it right now the only platform that I consider supported is just like default Ubuntu. But depending on how serious I go with this, then maybe it would make sense to make it work on other terminals. In which case, maybe I'll look into making it more portable with ncurses, or there's some other graphics libraries that it might make sense to use as well. Or should say terminal graphics libraries. Another thing would be just making it work. Once the game logic is finished, then I can possibly think about making like an actual 3D representation, or 3D version of the world, because as you move around, you're moving in 2D space. But if I press up, well, let me go to structure here. So if I press the space bar, so that structure there exists in three-dimensional space. So you're seeing like a vertical slice of it. So there's no reason why you couldn't, see this world in 3D. All right, so the thing I did last night was all right, so yeah, last night I tried to make this basically like a blocking thing, use blocking message passing. So it would send a message to request to open the help menu frame, and then the result of that is it would actually come back with the ID number for that frame. And so the next step is I'm going to probably figure out how to so I'm going to split this up somehow so that the operation of creating a frame and also adding like a split and adding it to the split is going to be separate operations. Do you have any strong opinions on C versus C++, especially for a project like this? Yeah, this is Java. So I think C and C++, there's a place for them. I think any new project where you have an option to not use C or C++, it makes sense to avoid using it if you can. C makes sense. Like if you have old school constrained embedded systems, I think C is still kind of your only option. Like there are cases, like if you want to write garbage collection, then it makes sense for that to be written in, like if you want to write a garbage collector for a constrained embedded device that only has like 1 megabyte of memory or something, I think C is still probably a pretty good language. And like, I guess Rust is often described as a competitor for C, but for a lot of the applications, I think Rust makes sense for like systems. Rust is, I think, a reasonable competitor for Java for those applications. C++ is an incomprehensibly complex language now, and they keep just adding new things to the standard. So it's and because everything in C is also in C++, it's just there's so many things to know, and I think I got a pretty good handle on old school C, but C++ is just so much to know. I think when I started learning it, it was even simpler back in 2011 or so. But since then, they've come out with a bunch of new standards versions that add new things. And they keep on adding new like syntax sugar that doesn't really add much. It just makes the compiler more complicated. With respect to competing with Java, Go easily builds for many Arch OS. Oh yeah, Go. I always forget about Go, but I think from what I understand of Go, I've never coded in Go. I think Go is actually also another pretty good competitor. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard. I've yet to try Rust. If I was going to try and pick something other than Java, I would maybe lean more toward Go. Kind of hate C++ now. Yeah, there's a lot of code written in C++ though, so it's if you have skills in C++, then I think they'll still be useful for quite a while, until we have AI that's good enough to port every C++ application to Rust or whatever people want it to be written in. Seems quite popular for Java devs to transition to Go. Yeah, from what I understand, is Go is some of the language designers are some of the original people that made C and C++, if I'm not mistaken. And for Rust devs to transition to women, yeah, let's not go there. Best Linux distro to host a Plex server. Plex server. You mean like actually, I'm not 100% sure. Like multimedia, or I'm not sure what a Plex server is. And also, I guess I have a feeling even if I do know, I probably won't have a strong opinion. Videos. I guess like on a home network. Probably any of them, like whatever's easiest to use, and then probably the stuff like the bigger question is probably like all around making sure it has the right like network interface and stuff to be fast enough to serve your media. So it's probably hardware is probably what you have to worry about more than the software. So I guess probably like stable driver support. I think probably Arch is probably not what you want to use for it, because you're going to be updating the drivers all the time for little benefit. Ken Thompson and Rob Pike. Ken needs no intro. Rob was on the core Unix team and developed Plan 9, among other things. Yeah, I had to. It's in my mind that it was like some of the exact same people. I mean, it's honestly, it's kind of amazing that such legends ended up, writing it another language, and the fact that it's not Go doesn't seem that popular compared to other stuff. Rob is a UFT grad, huh? Interesting. So I've got to figure out how. So making a new frame, CT, but I want to figure out like what set of operations should I allow for creating new, for modifying the like display tree of frames. Go is becoming popular in the platform space. Compiled binaries require no runtime beyond an operating system. So making utils that sit between scripts and large programs is a nice niche. Compiled binaries require no runtime. They also have like is the standard library compiled into a Go binary, or is that available as an option? I guess I'm not sure if that's even an option with like C or C, like the C standard or the libc. I don't know if you can statically compile that in. Yes, the Go runtime, like the parts of a standard library use, are statically linked into your build. Okay. I guess that can be a pro and con. Because the disadvantage is if every program includes a full copy of it, now the memory footprint is going to be larger. Because if you have like, imagine if you have like 5,000 copies of the A.out program, or like Hello World A.out running. If you have 5,000, now you have 5,000 copies of the memory footprint of the entire library that's compiled in. Whereas if you dynamically link it, then you only need one shared object. But I guess I'm assuming you could probably like flag that as an option or something. Go has a fairly unique feature called Go Embed, wherein other system binaries can be embedded, compiled into a single binary if need. Okay. Go Embed. Yeah, I'm not well read on that topic, but so maybe there's some interesting stuff you can do there. There's a whole there's an interesting lots of interesting optimization and like security research and stuff that could be done around the concept of like decreasing the memory footprint of programs on a system, and like how it interacts with the operating system, and keeping memory usage low. And there usually aren't a million Go processes running. If a program needs concurrency, it uses Go routines, which are even lighter. Okay, so sed awk grep could be bundled into a single binary. Interesting. Are you planning to use a backend server like Spring Boot when you get to the multiplayer development? So I already, so I haven't released it. I already have, so I'm already using Spring Boot right now, and I already have a multiplayer version that works with WebSockets. I just haven't released the code for it. That's on the to-do list right now, though. It's like it's not finished, because all it does is it allows, like, you can have multiple clients, and they can connect, and they can like mine blocks and stuff and move the character position. But if you had two clients that connect, like both clients are controlling the one player character, like there's no concept of so it just like takes in messages from either client, and there's no distinction between them. So that's any kind of authentication or like use. There is some kind of like session. There is a bit of like session support, but like the application layer for like two different player characters, and any kind of collision management does not exist. So you could like if two characters try to mine a thing, it's just like a race condition, or a race condition, but also like duplication glitch would happen. I need to re-architect how events are handled, because right now I think all the events are like processed on the client, but they need to be. I need to change that so like when you like mine a block, it's sent to the server, and then the server responds to that event. Made a diagnostic program that uses DF-tree, and other load checking things, and bundles them with a report card that uses HTML, CSS, and Tailwind to generate system report, all from a single bin. Interesting. I'll have to Google that if I remember. Go embed. This compiles in less than 1 second and runs in less than 1 second. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. In the future, I may wish that I didn't write so much code in Java. But one of the things I do like about Java is that if I ever do regret it, because there's enough because it's so verbose, all the type management stuff. Like I would imagine that in the future, if you ask a large language model to translate a piece of Java code into like some other language, it's going to be more correct than if you said like, a Python program. just because the added type information constrains what it could possibly translate to. I think you're right about that. It's probably easier for an LLM to retranslate a strongly typed program. Yeah, that's and even if you're not using an LLM, if you want to, like, if you realize you made some massive mistake and you want to like completely change and refactor a bunch of stuff, you can like you can write a program to go in and just like, or like you can use like sed to do bulk replacement of stuff, and then just like if it compiles, then it's probably fine. Whereas in Python, if you do a bunch of like bulk replacements with sed, you're just going to get like, you know, it'll silently convert stuff to none or nil, and then it won't work and you won't know why, and it'll take months to figure it out. I've been researching Cotlin. Ktor looks awesome. I'm probably pronouncing it. Is it Cotlin or Cotlin? Cotlin or Cotlin? I've always heard it as Cotlin. Okay, I think that's what my intuition told me it was. So Cotlin is I forget what it is again. It's like compatible with Java in some way, so it's like similar enough, like a scripting language for Java. Brother, do you watch or play any sports? I do not. I do not watch any sports or play any sports. The thing I like about Go is the legibility. It's really easy to look at and understand. Cotlin compiles to JVM bytecode. Okay, that was the connection. It's the refined Java for Android, but now multi-platform and native variants. Interesting. Brother, the world is going to end in 2026. What's going to happen in 2026? I'm now proactively raising funds to overthrow you. Good luck. You'll never defeat me. Not with my massive army of Linux command line fans. The world has been ending every year. Yeah, I don't know. The world does seem pretty chaotic. Although, I don't know, there's a bunch of the geopolitical things seemed like there were... there's a chance that we're going to have like every conflict in the world end at once in the near future, maybe. Hate to break it to you. You died from COVID, and this reality is your judgment. That's unfortunate. My destiny is to be judged forever by chat on YouTube live stream. Ghost of Meatloaf? I don't know what that phrase means. Brutal fate. I think what I'll do is assign like ID numbers to the horizontal and vertical splits. And then when I want to add a frame, I'll specify the ID number of the split to add it to. Meatloaf, the singer, died from COVID. Okay. Or with COVID, depending on how skeptical you are. A very wise man said that. Is there more? Or is a very wise man said something else that's in the chat? I've watched your other videos YouTube recommended me. That's good. The Linux ones. Kevin Coolin says, "What's up?" btop is the best Linux command. That's like that fancy version of top, isn't it? I still generally just use the default top. 37-year-old one. Yeah, that was a popular one. Htop forever. I like just going with defaults. That way you don't have to install stuff and it works everywhere. Brother, all your core utils are being oxidized away. Canonical is rewriting them in Rust. Yeah, that's it's kind of random. I guess it kind of makes sense because they are core, like they're core utilities. So I think if you're going to make a candidate for something that you wanted to make like a modern variant of, I guess hopefully they're hopefully like I don't know. I think it's it'll be a massive effort to make sure there's no bugs in that. Like having done all those videos about core utils, I'm very confident that a lot of the core utils, like the GNU core utils specifically, probably have like a big, significant set of bugs in them, and there are probably a lot of implementations out there that rely on the existence of those bugs. And so if you rewrote them, I'm sure like you're going to get all of these kinds of silent breakages and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm not super sold on Rust. I mean, I honestly think Rust as a language probably didn't even need to exist, and it would have been more ideal if we had like improved C, like if we had removed some features from C or C++ and then made it into a better language and like added some annotations or something. So that way it wouldn't be just a totally different language. But alas, I think the memory safety stuff is a pretty good justification to. I mean, I think it ideally would have been better if it was rewritten in like maybe Go or something like that. But I think if you wanted to, there probably are tons of like bugs, like security vulnerabilities in core utils. Because even just going through making those videos, there were a few edge cases where I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a bug. So I bet if you fuzz them, there's probably lots of silent bugs in there waiting. I flip-flopped a lot from sticking to defaults, which is also something very nice about being very deliberate, picking your tools. Yeah, I think you have to pick, like, it's about picking and choosing your battles. There are some cases where it makes sense to use a custom thing where it does so much. But, then other cases where, like in Vim, I just chose to go with default everywhere. Because there's a subset of Vim that doesn't require plugins that I can be pretty useful. Most are already rewritten. I remember like a few months ago I checked. They had like a kind of status thing, and it seems like they were like 30% done rewriting it in Rust. But I mean, honestly speaking, that makes my my videos are still relevant because that'll probably get me some more traffic on those videos because like the most of them are like highly standardized, so Rust is C with bumpers. I work with folks that have worked on C spec, and unfortunately the path that process closed a long time ago. We could just rebel. We could just illegally, someone can illegally make their own variant of C. And then just be a pioneer. Volvo's paying some money to safety and spec out Rust for industry, much like ANSI C. Yeah, I guess I don't know if I think there is a need, I think especially for string writing string manipulation code in C or C++ is completely insane in this day and age. That's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this in Java, because it would be really, literally a feat of insanity to I think to for how many string manipulations are in this program to do this in C or C++. As a security engineer, I just want people to be using memory safe tools that don't make them easy targets for exploits. Yeah, the any kind of C application that processes strings and collects user inputs is a huge liability. Soon you'll have 1 million subscribers. That'd be great. Then I'd have a whole bunch of money. I can buy stuff. Mikhail DE says, for what? I'm not sure what that comment is in reference to. For what about what? Rust is C with activism. Yeah, I was not really aware of that until recently, until I mean, that's kind of the first time I've seen that, where a given language has its identity, like a programming concept has its identity like so closely tied to like an activist idea. I watched Leave the World Behind, and now see this. All right, I'm not sure what is it, a movie or something? It's really more C++ than C. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a need for something like the whole, memory safe language. There's a need for more of that, but I don't know. I guess I question, like, could the stuff that Rust offers also be offered by Go? Like, could Go replace Rust? I don't know. Maybe maybe if Rust gets popular, we'll get even more new. Like, someone will do a new language. It'll be like I said, like a version of C. Someone will just take it like C or C++ and remove like 90% of the garbage, and then add the core features of Rust to that. And so that way, porting old applications from C and C++ to this new language will be very easy. No, because that's garbage collected. By its you mean Go, I assume. So is there no garbage collection in Rust? Not in all cases. The successor to C should be named CA. We use Rust for boot ROMs. There isn't really anything else that gives the confidence of borrow checker for that. No GC. Oh, okay, interesting. I figured that there probably was some kind of like a garbage collection for like objects and stuff, but I guess that would be a significant advantage if there is actually no, because the garbage collection is a pretty time-consuming task. C++ Ultra Max, Ultra Plus Max, Super Mega. Yeah, I guess you could call it that language, but maybe as a marketing term. But you'd probably only get a very specific type of programmer who would learn that language. Some people call inclusiveness activism. Well, there's like I don't pay attention to any of the details of these things at all. But there was something like on Rust, on their Twitter or something. At one point, they posted something about like Antifa or something, or something. I think it was Antifa. But like all these things, this just makes my head spin to be thinking about programming, and then suddenly there's these non-programming ideologies mixed in there. It'll only give people something to argue about. It's like associating, like if C++ was only associated with a specific sports team, like you're only allowed to cheer for a specific sports team if you put code in C++. Or like you're only allowed to vote for a specific political party if you use Fourier transforms. And then we could have branches of math that were associated with given non-math ideologies. That would make things more interesting. Let me think. So I think I will I'll probably make some primitive functions that accept IDs, split IDs. Then you can just like add that child as a, you'll specify a split by its ID number, send that in a message, and then this server will process that, do a lookup to find the split, and then add it. Rust is founded on a PhD thesis that avoided GC while maintaining safety and speed. Is the borrowing ownership system. Oh, okay. I didn't know it didn't have a GC. That's a significant benefit. How to make generational wealth? You're asking me? I'm still working on it. I agree. Many platforms, frameworks, and languages have outspoken representation now. I think it's just an effect of social media. Yeah, it'll be. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion about what should be done about it. I think what will happen over time is that people will just rediscover the values of boundaries. We'll have like a whole bunch of culture wars and fights, and projects will fall apart because people in the project can't agree on some politics that are not related to the project, and then in the future we'll be like, hey, wait, maybe we should not, we should like do the opposite, work hard to not associate the like the goals with an ideology unless it's supportive of that ideology, like something like mathematics or something. Mathematics has no political leaning. Effective activism. I just got on. I'm confused. Can someone explain what he's doing? So right now I'm working on building a terminal-based block mining game, but I'm also not very. I'm trying to figure out how to do something, and I'm also talking to chat, which is distracting me. Oh, look at that! I got a builder atomic alarm. Oh, that's because I don't have. The include user interface frame atomic. It's a terminal-based block mining game that I'll show you if I can get it compiled. There you go. This is what I'm working on. It's a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. And right now, I'm working on. So I have this like frame system. So I press escape, and I can do open help menu. And now I have a separate frame over here with some help information, and it resizes the frame over here. And then I can do escape again, close current frame. So I'm working on making that a bit more generic, so I can I can have one thread that tells the other thread to make frames and rearrange them and stuff like that. Hey Robert, how's that double rendering fix going? That's basically done. So the way I have it or the extra, I don't know, the extra screen buffer. I guess it depends what you're talking about, because I actually have quite a few different like layers of stuff. When I print stuff, like the way my printing primitives work, if it tries to print to the screen and something is already printed there, it'll detect that and it just doesn't print it. But this menu here, so there's like, this is, the background there is on like layer 0, and then layer 1 is above it here. And so when I've made it so that all the text that's back there stays there, and then when I go out of the help menu, it just invalidates. It clears this layer and then sends a message to like invalidate the background, so it reprints. What does this have to do with world domination? That's a good question. I guess if you watch my most recent YouTube video, that might make it more clear. But otherwise, it's just kind of like a silly title. I'm kind of between projects right now, so I decided to live stream every day for a while just to see what kind of metrics I get. Like, do I get any super chats? How many people will watch the stream? Does it hurt or help my overall channel metrics? Do I get any channel members? So we're on day, 18 now? And then I have an eviction hearing on May 26th, where my landlord is trying to evict me for some proposed extensive renovations under dubious grounds. Me and 61 other people in this building. So a tactic known as renovictions, which are a common thing in Ontario now. So after 26, in the worst case, I'll have to move. In the best case, I guess I could stay here for however long. I'm studying web development. Should I continue it or not? That's a good question to ask. I don't have a great answer. I mean, there's still demand for that. Like most programmers, I think they get hired, are probably web developers. If you enjoy learning a web push on, yeah, I would say if you're like, if you are intrinsically motivated and like you actually like so I think it's maybe better to ask like who shouldn't pursue web development, and that is, I think, like people who really, really don't like it, like people who studied it like a boot camp course for 6 months, and they don't care about programming at all, and they only got into it because they watched like one of those day in the life videos, and they want to make a ton of money. Wow, that's very nice. Layering with panels in different threads. Yeah, so the layers, the separate layers here are not necessarily in separate threads, but I do have a lot of threads. I'm one of those people who kind of leans on having like many threads. But I'll show you the code for this. So there's many threads in the program, and everything is basically, I guess, multiplexed through one thread called the console writer. And this is the state for the thread. And then so each of them, the way I've structured the program is every thread in the program, well, basically all of them, is just the base class is a very simple thing that just processes a queue of work items. So every thread that wants another thread to do something, it sends a message. It puts a message in the other thread's message queue, and then every thread, it just reads its messages in an infinite loop. And so that way, if one thread gets busy, it doesn't have to wait for the other one. So like if one thread is faster, then they can just do the work as fast as possible. It also completely resolves a lot of potential concurrency issues, where one thread is trying to mutate something else, so I don't have to have like 10,000 synchronized things everywhere. Yeah, so the way so basically all screen printing functions go through where's the function? I forget. I guess it's in here. So I have a message type. So I end up sending messages. And I do prepare terminal text change, which is you send an array with the updated characters, the color codes at that point, new characters, whether there's actually a change at that point, and so you can update like subsets of the region of the screen. And so it sends, so it just goes, this looks kind of crazy, but it's fairly simple. It just goes for X and Y. If there is, so if we're within the bounds, and if something has actually changed, so if you do like print twice, then nothing will have changed, and so it doesn't need to update the screen. But if there is something changed, it detects that. And then the thing I added recently was just a buffer index, so I can like, there's like the default buffer is 0, and then I can write to something at the buffer level 1, and then in the printing I just check whatever's the highest buffer index that's needs something printed. I was also learning digital marketing. That might also be pretty useful. You actually hope is ending every day. Honestly, I think as the economy gets worse, companies are going to look for like sales. The fundamental thing they're going to need to do is figure out how to make more sales, get more revenue, and that's going to mean they're going to have to be better marketers. So since you mentioned web and also you did digital marketing, do you know about like UTM tags and how to do Google Tag Manager and all those kinds of things? Because I think that where you're going to make the best amount of money is if you know something at the intersection of two disciplines. So like knowing how to write a piece of JavaScript to trigger like a custom Google Ads event. That's something that like I think most web programmers are capable of doing that, but they also don't have the domain knowledge about like Google ad campaigns and stuff like that. And if you if you take like I'm sure if you've learned, depending on how much you've done in this, but you probably are aware that the average like Google Ads marketer doesn't know anything about JavaScript. So if you know any program, if you know how to like declare variables and write like for loops and stuff, you're already miles ahead of like those kinds of people. So if you wanted to focus a niche to focus on, I would say go after that. The kind of like the learn the mastery of how to validate and set up these things, because probably a lot of marketers will set up these like attribution, like it's having conversion tracking is really, really important. And I'm sure it's very common for these people to spend like weeks setting up like how to get a conversion event to actually track. And the feedback time is also long, because you have to change the code, push it, and then hope that your conversion tracking code is actually correct. And then if you do it wrong like 5 times, you have to wait for another conversion event. And but anyway, if you want advice about like where to focus, I'd say that would be probably a decent one. I'm trying to build an OS int based game right now. Neat. Interesting premise for a game off the bat. Yeah, OS int-based game. I'm not even sure what that would be. I liked it. Very sophisticated. There's even a cache. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah, the caching actually makes a big difference because rewriting the entire screen for every like movement is makes it pretty slow. Becoming an incredibly niche domain expert, or how to tie together two different disparate fields, seems tried and true. Yeah, and I think it's like if you do that, and you also know a bit about both, you can advertise yourself as either. So you can apply for like marketing positions, and then you can also apply for like maybe some web dev positions. So you're kind of like doubling your potential market. Now, if you do, depending on how much field of study you do in both, like if you also did a lot of digital marketing, you probably would be one of the last people considered for like a hardcore web development position. But you'd probably completely dominate the competition if you're like the most programming savvy marketer, because most marketers like have no idea at all how to like trigger an event with JavaScript or something. So learning all about like the technical ins and outs of how to do like conversion tracking and manage that stuff, because that stuff is constantly changing. Google's always changing like how the attribution works, and events don't fire, and there's new web standards that like make it not work. And I'm thinking of going to Waterloo for engineering. What are your thoughts? So I went to the University of Waterloo. I would say, what type of engineering? So I went there. Well, I have a video. I have a video called "Is U of Waterloo the Loneliest University?" Because it is kind of a desolate place. A common trope is people complain about social life is not the greatest, but the co-op, in my opinion, the number one biggest advantage of Waterloo is the co-op program. And in fact, any school you go to, I'd say the number one thing you could look for is like whether the school helps you get internships. Because there's a lot of places where you go and just study for years and years, and then they just kind of throw you out on your own. Or they have like an internship program, but they do absolutely nothing to help you actually get in. He's trying to get a free private investigator by tricking them doing OS research for free. Like War Games the movie. Interesting hypothesis. Keep learning new skills for life. You'll be wealthy. Maybe not always materially. I feel like any engineering school doesn't have a great sort of life, because typical engineer is pretty introverted. Yeah, I mean it's also not even just introversion. The course, like if you have to work all the time, if you one of my big issues was like honestly, I had to, all things considered, I think I had a reasonable social life in an undergrad, because the residence I went to was quite good at the time. Although I think since it's changed, they used to have more like kind of group activities and stuff, but having to work on stuff all the time. In some places, the other thing that was I think really good, I went into software engineering, and we had an actual cohort of people. So we had the same group of people that we were with for the entire 4 years. So, we had like a kind of, we had like a Facebook group, and we could ask questions to other people in the same program, say like, hey, did you guys go to this lab or whatever? Like, what did the professor say and stuff like that? But if you're in these kind of mixed programs where there's like 600 people you don't know, and you go to like a totally different class, and there's like you don't recognize anyone in any of your common classes, and there's no like place to go, like having shared experiences gives you something to talk about. Not only does it give you something to talk about, which is like it makes you develop a social life, but it also helps you. So if you didn't go to class, like you had a dentist appointment or something, you can get the homework for someone else. Whereas if you don't have that, then you just like you missed out, and that's it. Okay, let me think about how to implement my I guess I could maybe start by converting some of these. Shared trauma, uni can make for powerful bonds. Yeah, that's yeah. I've my conclusion has been like around like building trust and relationships and stuff like that. I think the only way to build like strong relationships, there's really two ways. One is you spend lots and lots of time with the person, or you go through. The only way to accelerate that is you go through like really difficult experiences, and that kind of brings you closer together. Because I guess knowing if you're able to see how someone behaves under stress, then tells you a lot about how much you want to be around that person. Yes, Crack says software. Excellent contribution. Matthew Taylor says software. Excellent. You're also a fan of software. We got the right crowd of people here. If software is so good, where's software 2? I don't know. I don't know what software 2 would be. We're still working on building software 1. That's why we have all these different memory unsafe languages and stuff. GPLv2 was so good they made GPLv3. Yeah. I like distributed software across the network, decentralized software. Yeah, decentralized software is pretty cool. Fediverse stuff. I haven't gotten too much into that. I did a course on distributed systems back in school, and I've written a few servers in my day. It's a cool concept-wise, but in reality, it has failed me. I haven't really got much into the. I guess some people have said that I should be posting on like on the Fediverse, like Mastodon and stuff, but I need to go where people are, and if I want to get more people into Linux, I can't be on this. I can't preach to the choir. Most Fediverse stuff is young. The web also sucked in 2000. Yeah, I'm sure as things go on, it'll get that stuff will get interesting. I don't think Fediverse will reach mainstream. Maybe, I don't know. I think some of those things to grow, they're going to need. There has to be like a growth engine, which is going to have to be like economic, or it's going to have to be some like kind of capitalist incentive behind it for it to grow. Is this what coding looks like? Yep. This is what coding looks like when you're distracted by a chat window all the time. So it's not super productive. If it doesn't, we might be cooked. Trusting single points of failure in authority is not very robust. Fediverse has a design flaw, IMO. We'll see. We kind of have we have a lot of social medias to choose from now. We got Twitter, we got Blue Sky, we have Truth Social, which I don't think I've ever visited that website, but I know that's where Donald Trump posts. And there's a few other. I guess it's Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn. So if one of them goes down, then we can use the other ones. Maybe it will win the slowest. Its internet speed will be 1 gigabits per second. This is what world dominating code looks like. Yep. Are you local in KW? Yep, I live in Kitchener-Waterloo. What do you think of SCT programming in Conestoga? Conestoga has undergone some massive changes. I taught there. I don't know how many of my videos you've seen. If you watch my video on immigration, I talk about my experiences teaching at Conestoga College. I don't think I taught any. No, I didn't teach any course in the SCT program. But I guess it depends. There's a lot to say about it. Conestoga College has undergone a lot of massive changes recently, so I don't even know how healthy they are, because most of the money came from international students, and I saw some article that said that international student enrollment dropped off like 95% or something. But I would say if you enroll in it, make sure you read up on it and look up. The most important thing is look up like job prospects for that program, because it's been a while since I taught there, and I have no idea how good their programs are now. It also depends on who you get as a professor. Any of you set up your own Lemmy instance or wrote a bot using our API? I have not. Hello, Robert. I would have tuned in earlier. Had an important matter to attend to. Family debate about someone spending $200 on short-term perishable groceries for 2 people. That sounds like an important matter, I guess. Yeah, I don't have any commentary on that. I hope your debate was productive. Thank you. You've got a Discord server or something we can reach you. I don't have a Discord. There are some people, some channel members who they set up one, so it's not managed by me, but it's when people ask for Discord, I just kind of reference them to that one. I guess if someone wants to provide a link or the ID number or whatever to if he wants to join. I think people might just want the direct. There's like an ID I think you can share. People might prefer that, so they don't have to go through another link, just in case they don't trust. Because that way they're only touching the Discord domain. Bodhi Zane says, hello, how's it going? Just doing some work on the block mining simulation game tonight. World domination, my ass. Does this not look like world domination to you? What are you making? I'm working on a terminal-based block mining game. So this is what it looks like when you move around. You wander around an infinite procedurally generated universe, and you spam the M key to mine blocks. And that's the entire game loop. It's quite primitive at the moment, but I'm working on some user interface changes and longer-term improvements. Little do they know, my website runs a browser 0-day, unknown to the intelligence agencies. Yeah, that's what I would think. Yo, what is this? This is some software development on the block mining simulation game. So it is if I can open this, it's a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. So you wander around on the Linux terminal and you spam the M key to mine blocks. Max, what we do is log IPs and user agent. You could have put a 0-day on it, but then also you could also have people's log people's IP and stuff, or it could forward to some weird thing that people don't want. I mean, most people, some people will think that. Probably more programmers will think that than not. Sounds cool. Indeed, it is. At least I think so. And so do the 21 people who are here. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these constructors not take. I'm going to refactor these constructors to not take in a list of stuff, and then make it so it instantiates these classes, and then you can add stuff to them after. And then I'll slowly start building that up into stuff where you pass individual messages to kind of like manipulate the splits. And I guess that would even support like I could have like a split management tab or something. Yasim VRO, it says H. Excellent. Run ads. Lemmy has this issue where if user in one instance needs to view submissions from another instance, it can take hours to fetch stuff. And for server maintainer, it's bad news since Fediverse can end up DDoSing you and eat storage like crazy. Yeah. Another big thing is that I'm increasingly concerned about is like this sophistication of like security vulnerabilities and stuff. And I kind of almost don't even trust like some random open source project running on the public internet now. Like if it's just some, like it used to be possible you could have some, project written by a kid or something or someone in their free time, and you could have it running on the web and it'd be fine if it had, like people just wouldn't find the 0 days. But now, like the asymmetry between like nation states looking for 0 days and the random hobbyist is the gap is just much bigger. And then there's like, all these NSA level hacks, and then the NSA is getting hacked, and all the NSA's hacking tools are available to like random other people. IMHO matrix is a pretty nice compromise between everything. Why not use Rust? I'm not completely sold on Rust yet. I think Java, if I was going to have thousands of lines of code written in something, Java I think is pretty good language. Interesting. It's not what it's supposed to do. Oh, that's why. Element is such a pain in the ass. Every once in a while, it fails to decrypt my messages. You should submit a pull request to fix it. I don't have time to fix every open source project that I use. Well said. I'm confident Nation's generative AI will tear through every C project soon enough. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't think large language models were a breakthrough, regardless of what you say. It's a new thing. But imagine if we're just on the cusp of some random thing that is able to find a 0 day in 99% of software that's out there. And it's just we wake up and like everything is hacked everywhere, and every single thing is running a crypto miner. I agree, the keyring share element is just bad. Group keys don't get synced between devices at times. So I think I'll make a base class. To share the commonalities between horizontal and vertical splits. All right, let's see if that compiles. For something to become a commercial success, you need to have a lot of people behind it, and it should just work. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the exceptions are stuff that's like just like random stuff that no one wants to do, that people depend upon. I'm sure there's a lot of really bad software out there that makes a lot of money because just no one else wants to build a competitor, like old crufty enterprise stuff. Robert, you realize 90% of desktop computers run Microsoft? Mysteriously losing CPU cycles, hard drive space, and network. Fits the textbook definition of malware botnet. I would assume Microsoft has some. Well, I guess it probably is kind of like an active war for them constantly. I can't imagine what kind of like threat actors that Microsoft deals with. I mean, actually, I think Microsoft even got hacked by Russia. I think Russia, like they did something to like forge security certificates or something, and they were able to actually get access to I think the CEO of Microsoft's personal mail account or something at one point. Yeah, you can Google that for the correct details. Signal is getting there, I think. Even then most people I know don't use Signal. How many objects does it take to justify a class? That's, I guess, a question for me in my Java preference. I don't know. It's more about like structuring, like leveraging inheritance and stuff. And I'll have like a couple classes and realize like, wait a minute, I'm just copying and pasting the same code between two different classes. So I'll just put it in a base class. It's not the most beautiful or fulfilled feature. Often we, as users, are paying for those with our privacy. I think I figured out Canadian blue versus green board signs. Blue or express toll highways. I wouldn't know. I don't drive enough. Do design first or just cowboy coding? It depends what you mean by design. A lot of times I just look at the code and I think about like what is the way I code is I've worked on too many projects where like someone says like, hey, let's do a massive refactor, and then the massive refactoring arc never ends, and or just adds tons of bugs. Usually I kind of I try to favor like small incremental changes. So like right now, my original design has served me pretty well to get to this point. But I'm kind of I've decided I want to get rid of everything in the constructor, just build the split objects, and then decorate them afterward. And this the eventual goal of this will be to make it so instead of just directly calling this, there will be I will pass messages that actually request these individual operations be performed. Now, instead of coding all of this together, I'm just going to try and step by step, change the constructors, test it, make sure the application works. I find that's a much better way to program, is just like change a small thing, make sure the program didn't break, go through the case. Because otherwise, if you change like 50 things and you're like, oh, this shouldn't break it, and then you run it and it's totally broken. Now you're like, okay, which of those 50 changes broke the application? Whereas if you change one thing at a time, verify it, you know for sure that one thing you changed broke it. It's much easier to debug. And I'd say the that's the biggest time waster of programming. It's debugging. Writing code is very fast and easy. It's fixing bugs that takes enormous amounts of time. Since all games are simulations, have you considered just block mining game? I think adding a simulation is good. I think eventually it makes sense to make it even more focused on simulations. But I think the title works for now, even though it's kind of long. But if I decide, I can always change it in the future. I could change it to like Lustos or something. That name is not taken anymore. I'll take Luke Smith. It's just an alternate universe version of Robert Elder. Nice title. Thanks. Did anyone hear? But BWE controversy. I'm not familiar with that. Great job. Thank you. Now let's find my That's why, because it is an abstract class, public abstract class. Split percentage private has private access. All right, that works. All right, these functions can be in the base class. Wow, the concurrent viewers dropped off. There's only 4 of you here now. That's so random. It was up at 30 earlier. Maybe my network is bad. I think I've noticed that before. Down even more, 3. Good day, amigo. That's interesting. It says concurrent viewers. Oh wait, it says concurrent viewers 3 down there, and it says 15 up there. That's random. Good day, amigo. It says Pixel checksum 0x FF. How many F's is that? FF. Have you ever traded stocks? That was the first thing. That was the first world domination strategy that I tried. As soon as I turned 19, I started trading stocks. And I guess I should make a video about that. That's actually why I got into programming, because I started trading manually, and I was like, wait a minute, to do this competitively, I'll probably have to learn like AI models and stuff and programming and do automated trading. And then I learned about all that. Then I actually worked at a company. They were a Forex market maker, and then I learned about like how things work on the inside, and I realized like as a retail investor, I don't stand any chance. And I think a lot of the unless you have some really key knowledge, then unless you have like insider information, which is like for the most part illegal to trade on, but or if you have some like unique domain expertise, like if your entire family has said, multi-generation farmers, everything about farming, then maybe you can make a little bit of extra money trading like wheat futures or something based on your knowledge. If you can read the room the best. I'm not sure I followed that part of the conversation. I see 6. Yourself for school. I don't know what that means. If you can read the room the best. I'm not sure. Teach yourself programming or modules. School. That is something you could do if you want. As in, read the stock futures based on the real world factors, rumors. I think if you're actually competitive, it would be stuff like it would be based on like factual knowledge that you can like verify. I think it would also make sense to like like if you make money off the stock market, you are making the economy more efficient. You are like providing liquidity, and you are basically being rewarded for your valuable service of like of smoothing out a temporary price fluctuation. So I think I've mentioned before that guy who does the channel about shipping. There's the series like what the ship or whatever. And if you've seen any of his videos and like the kind of analysis that he does, like he did one critique of like there's a fuel shipment to Haiti or sorry, Puerto Rico, when they had like after that hurricane or something, and the media said when they published a story about saying like they couldn't get a ship to send fuel there or something, and they covered the story in one way, but he did an analysis of it and basically explained that actually they could get a ship there. The problem was offloading the ship because the containers at the port were full, and there was no way to actually, it was about the distribution network of the fuel, not just getting it to that place, because once you take the ship there, you can't just have the ship there and store it there forever. You have to offload it, and all these kinds of like these details about the world. Like unless you work in that industry, you know how many like all that stuff with the containers that are happening. The container, there's no container ships at like the Seattle port right now or something. This is something you can like track on the internet. You can measure it, and if you have knowledge about this stuff beyond what like a hedge fund knows, you can calculate stuff like the implied rates of containers and stuff, and you can do all sorts, and like you can try to guess how much fuel is going to be worth, like a specific type of jet fuel, and there's all types of different inventories and stuff. And so like a lot of this stuff is it's complicated and difficult to calculate, which is why only a few people are going to be able to do this, and that this kind of analysis could exist in basically every single industry. And so if you're an expert on some domain, then maybe you can use that to like print money in the stock market. Other than that, you can just like buy index funds or something. There are rumors that my area of the world will have a huge price in gas. Maybe, but the other thing too is I've almost gotten to the point where like if something is being reported in the mainstream media, I almost think that it's like the lie that you should like do the opposite of it now or something. But if that was like such a certain rule, you'd be able to trade on it and make money, and it's not that easy. School with ups and downs. We have atomic. I'm not super sure what you're trying to say. Pixel checksum. There was an inverse Jim Cramer ETF for a while. Yeah. There's probably a time when, like, if you back tested that, there was probably a time in history where you could make money on that. But my guess is that since that's been commodified, mathematically speaking, any inefficiency that would have granted you, it's probably like has been, mined away. Because once you find an actual inefficiency and you trade on it, you're taking that inventory. It's basically like effectively what you're going to be doing is calculating like arbitrage conditions that exist in the world. So if at one hardware store, someone's buying a hammer for $10 and there's hammers on sale for $5 somewhere else, you can buy those $5 hammers and then, price in the cost of gas to move it and stuff like that, and then go and sell it to the other person for, $9, and then they get a deal and you also make money, and you're making the whole system more efficient. You're providing liquidity. And that's basically what you're going to be doing if you find these inefficiencies in the market. But of course, a lot of them are hidden in like statistical noise and speculation and high frequency trading. And If an economist finds $100 bill on the ground, he would say it's not real because the market should have already priced it in, and somebody else would have already picked it up. Yeah, but the thing is that's like in order for the market to already price it in, you need someone else to basically be that person who picks up the $100. I'd invest in precision fermentation if I could. Interesting. Precision fermentation. That must be the name of a company. If you have fun doing this, go ahead. For me, no, I'm too lazy. It'll be fun once it's more finished. Okay, so that's moved into the base class. It's an emerging technology in food science. Interesting. So precision fermentation is the name of like a technological tool, of like a scientific tool for a scientific process for doing something, as opposed to a company name. It almost sounds like a precision fermentation. Sounds like something. It's like Precision Fermentation Incorporated. You need to know the top people in this industry and become a Bilderberger member. That sounds like it would be good to know the top people in the industry. I wonder if there is an underground stock market for illegal activity. An underground stock market. I'm sure there's something like that, but the question is, like, if it's illegal, like what's the clearing system? Humans don't do things like this. I'm sure they do. The problem with underground markets is the owners can rug and vanish at any point. I'm sure there's all kinds of underground markets. Dumb Cat says, "Hola. Cuero domar el mundo. Dominar." Oh, that probably says some like something question how take over the world, maybe. That's my guess what that says. I'll reveal my plans in the future. Hi, Robert. Did you take any data ethics course when you were at undergraduate? Would you recommend these sorts of classes to current students? Data ethics. Those were I could see those as being like an elective course. It depends. I think I don't know. It depends on the content of the course. I could see historically, like if you took one like 10 years ago, it would probably be pretty good. It depends who designed the course, because it could be like, it could be useful and practical, but it could also be like propaganda that is based on the political views of whoever designed the course, depending on who made it. Precision fermentation is a technology that uses microorganisms to produce specific proteins or other compounds in bioreactors, similar to brewing beer, but with precise control over the end product. Yeah, there's quite a few interesting developments that are going on with like. There's a guy on the All In podcast, and he's been working on this company for like 10 years or something, and they apparently. I forget the details of the technology, but they figured out a way basically to do to like kind of pick and choose like the genetic variants. Like it's a way of doing like genetic modification for crops, but it's way more fast and effective than just like trying to randomly permute the genome to get what you want. So they can like precisely pick and choose they can make like foods that are extremely high in some vitamin, but also extremely crop resistant at the same time. It's been a while since I looked at it, but if you're interested in that domain, I just Google for like the All In podcast guy, plant genetic modification, and you'll probably find something about his thing. The way he explained it, it seemed like a pretty big breakthrough that might actually like substantially like improve worldwide crop yields and stuff. It's cool. I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. Yeah, I forget the name. I forget his name, but he's one of the members of the All In podcast, if you've ever heard of that. Is upper bound like U bound? I guess it depends on what context and language and API. All right, that still works. Now let's mess with the constructor. Came here from how to make a PC? You mean how to make a CPU? Welcome. This is my I've been live streaming every day for the last little while, doing some work on my block mining simulation game, which is you can see the remnants here in the terminal. It's a block. It's a terminal-based game that you run in a Linux terminal, and you mine blocks. Hey bro, I'm new here. What's going on? Let me just might as well fire up the game to illustrate. Oh yeah, I just changed something. Okay, maybe we can fix this quick. So I'm writing some code on my video game that I'm developing. User interface split vertical. Okay. I guess this will take me a minute to fix, probably. All right, so for anyone new, this is what the game looks like. It's a terminal-based game that runs in the Linux terminal, and you wander around and you spam the M key to mine blocks in an infinite procedurally generated universe. And the object of the game is to mine all of the blocks, and there's an infinite number of blocks, so it will take a very long time. And that's basically the entire game loop. So you can press the C key to craft a pickaxe, and then when you press M, it mines more blocks until you run out of pickaxes. And that is the extent of the game loop. There's nothing more than that at the moment. One of the things I'm doing is right now I'm working on, so I have like a help menu that comes up, and I'm working on refactoring the user interface so I can add more types of frames and have more control over the user interface. All right, 152. All right, that is not broken. Let's test the other demo. I'm trying to see that. Is that a popcorn? I can't quite tell what that icon is. All right, that looks like it's not broken. So we're getting there. I think so. Yeah, it's kind of small. I can't. I'm not able to increase the size of it, because otherwise it increases the size of the other windows, because it's all the YouTube browser. Popcorn. We're celebrating successful debugging. I should make some popcorn tonight. Okay, that is... I changed the constructor on the horizontal to vertical. Now let's do the horizontal. .48. Okay, that might work. Does anyone know when you SSH into Windows why the default shell is CMD? Can I SSH into PowerShell? I tried a few things, but it seems way more complicated than it should. I know the answer to that question in Linux. It's in the etc passwd file. You could just set the shell there. Another kind of like similar thing, you could also ask like you can have users like get users or something. Like for Git, it doesn't allow you to have shell access, so you could ask ask an equivalent, a similar question, which is like how to disable shell access, or how to set the shell to be like nothing. Which I don't know. Maybe that's a totally different thing on Windows. I'm out of my element. I say if you already know how to do it on Linux, then you're ahead of me on that. $183. All right, that's not broken. That works. That also works. Okay. Now let's test the other view. So the idea will be eventually, like instead of manually toggling that true false branch, this will be a dynamic part of the application. So at runtime, I can just like add all these frames and change them and test stuff. I could probably even have a menu option that just like loads a certain view. Okay, that is successful. So yeah, that I didn't change a lot of stuff tonight, but that's you know, just a little bit of progress, I think, in breaking up the so yeah, I think what I'll do now, so that effectively these lines here, that'll be one message, and then the stuff down here, like to create a new split. That will itself be an operation, and then I guess I'll probably just send a message with the IDs of either the splits or the frames. I guess maybe I should just send the leaf node ID, because every frame has to be in a leaf node. But I don't know. I'll think about that. Bodhi saying, hello, I'm back. I guess I'm probably gonna call it a night. I made some progress. I got some stuff I might actually film tonight, so I'm gonna take off a bit early. And I also need to start going to bed earlier. But anyway, I think I'll call it a night. That's another successful stream. See you tomorrow, guys.